Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant daughter-in-law the world does not revolve around her? I, 54, and my husband Rick, 57 male, have 3 kids. The oldest, Kurt, 29 male, is married to Becky, 28 female. She's normally a good daughter-in-law, and I try to be a good mother-in-law. We have had a pretty good relationship through the years. Issues have only popped up in the last few months since they are now expecting a baby in November. It is relevant to this situation that Kurt is technically my stepson, but I am the only mother he has known. Becky is becoming increasingly difficult. She expects everyone to bend to her will because she is pregnant or because she is the mother of our grandchild. Recently, Rick and Kurt were talking about our finances, and Becky started making suggestions about what money we should start saving for our grandbaby. That same day, I served lunch. I made chicken for Becky because she isn't eating cold cuts. She made a few comments about the cold cuts that she didn't have to eat. She also made a few comments about the wine we served. She does not want Kurt drinking while she's pregnant, but he didn't agree to this. My husband and I have a second home that we just redid, knocked down the original. The new home has 3 floors. First, bedroom/hangout space, second, middle living and master, third, bedrooms. This had been in the works for years, so our kids are very excited to all go this summer. We're all set to go for our first trip in July. The issue that came up is that my 2 other kids, Tim and Cassie, 23 male and 21 female, plan to have fun on this trip, which includes having some friends to the house a few times, amusement park, scuba diving, going out. When Becky and Kurt were over last weekend, Tim and Cassie were talking about their plans, and Becky got upset, saying that because she's pregnant, this trip shouldn't be all about drinking. It's not, but we aren't banning alcohol from the house. She also said that next year's trip will not include any get-togethers because she will have a small child. Tim just told her not to worry because she doesn't have to participate in any of the fun. Becky called me and said she was upset about the plans. She said we needed to respect the fact she can't participate in all of the activities we are planning. I told her that there were plenty of things she can participate in and not worry about the other kids were doing. She then said she really thinks I should limit the drinking and parties. I informed her that I have no intention of limiting anything since this is their vacation as well, and these activities can take place on the back deck. I told her she can have the bedroom upstairs in the front so that she will not be bothered, but she was mad she would have to walk up all the steps. She also accused me of caring less because Kurt is not my son. Not true. At the end of our talk, I told her I could get a rental to have their own space, but she accused me of trying to exclude her. I reminded her that she spent many nights out drinking when she was their age, and that the world can't revolve around her just because she is pregnant. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She sounds like the type that thinks expectant mothers should be able to park in handicapped spaces. Oh, she's gonna be a handful. In fairness, there are some pregnant women that I'd happily see park in a disabled space. I'm disabled, but remember how exhausting and painful pregnancy can be? And my pregnancy was considered to be easy. But yep, not the a-hole. She definitely does sound like a handful. She's, in my opinion, the kind of person that finds herself holding a little bit of power and is now forcing everyone to bend to her will because the whole world should revolve around her. Lol, actually, I've just realized that if my ex, male, could get pregnant, this is exactly how he'd act. Not the a-hole. Your daughter-in-law is turning into an entitled mother before she even has the kid. Clearly, she thinks she's the first person in the world to have a kid. I get that hormones make pregnant women crazy, but some also lose common sense. Info. Have you talked to Kurt about this? Really, this I can't drink so nobody should, or I can't go on a roller coaster so nobody should, translates into there should only be activities that I can do or want to do. Nope, just nope. Good for you for saying something before she gets a chance to ruin everyone's vacation. Not the a-hole. Yes, Kurt is not a fan of the nobody can thing, which is why he did not agree to stop drinking while she's pregnant. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that he is not a real single dad since his son is in daycare 24/7? My brother and his ex were together for 3 years. They were both unfaithful throughout the relationship, and when they broke up and she got pregnant and told him there's a chance he is or isn't the father, things became even crazier. He had just gotten a major promotion and was going to be making a lot of money, and he felt like she was only keeping the baby to take his money on the off chance the baby is his. When the baby was born, they got a paternity test and he was the father. After that, they got into a huge custody battle. She was unemployed after losing her job and living with her parents, and my brother was way more stable than her. He had money, a job, a house, and a nursery all ready for the baby. He also wanted 100% custody. I asked him why, since he works so much and didn't seem to want the baby throughout the pregnancy. He said he knows the type of person she is, and she thought she would use a baby as a pawn for his money. But our aunt is a family lawyer and helped him hire a top attorney to get full custody. And he got it. When the baby was only like 7 months, he got full custody and never allows her to see him. She begs and begs, and he refuses. He gets happy seeing her so sad. He enrolled his son in daycare every day 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. as soon as he got custody. He's now 3 and still on the schedule. My mom or me, since getting my license, picks him up from daycare and watches him at my brother's house until he gets off work at 8 to 9ish. He then lets him use the iPad until he goes to sleep around 10. Then it's the same routine over and over again. He doesn't even spend time with his son. He doesn't even use to change his diapers. Once my mom changes him before she leaves at 9, he doesn't get another one until he goes to daycare the next morning. The only time he even spends time with him is when he's taking him to daycare in the morning. We watch him on the weekends too, so he can unwind and basically have a bachelor pad. He doesn't even seem to love his son. His teachers, since he was a few months, are like his mother figures. He calls them mama. He's the first there in the mornings and the last to get picked up. Meanwhile, his mom is begging to see him since she hasn't seen him since COVID began. Yes, I know. And my brother refuses. Whenever my brother complains about being a single dad, I tell him he's not a real single dad since he chose to be the only parent and spent thousands on top lawyers. And also, his son is in daycare literally every day for most of the day and he never sees him. He called me an a-hole and said I'm disgusting for saying he's not a real single dad and he works to provide for his son. Not an a-hole for the sole reason he is emotionally/physically neglecting his son. So maybe not being a single dad, but being a crappy one. Just because he pays for the food and roof doesn't mean he is taking care of his son. I used to call a social worker mama when I was around a son's age, when my mother had more custody than my dad and she was neglecting me. Damn the biased courts for favoring crappy mothers over hardworking and loving fathers just because they are the mom. I'm not saying this is the same scenario between the mom/dad, but it's obvious the same type of neglect is there. She would put me in a bouncy chair for hours or keep me in the playpen just so she could hang out with her friends or party. There were other stuff too, but just all in all bad. I don't mean to seem like I am making this about me, but wanted to share my personal experience. I can assure you that the teachers/caregivers at the daycare cannot at all give him the one-on-one time he needs as a 3-year-old to develop properly emotionally. I developed BPD most likely from the neglect because I didn't learn how to form proper attachments to people. I'm doing a lot better now, but when it started showing in my teens, it was rough. He is setting his son up for a lot of emotional problems later on. If he didn't want child support, I'm sure he could have just signed off his parental rights. And like you also said, it sounded like he didn't actually want to be a parent through the pregnancy. In my opinion, it sounds like he only changed his tune when money was involved. Now it sounds like he is now using the child himself as a pawn to get back at the ex for trying to use the child as one in the first place. And I hate when parents put their children on iPads and make the iPads babysit/be the parent for them. I'm not saying giving a child an iPad is bad in general, but obviously this guy's using it to get out of parenting. Wow. My brother also used to leave his son in his bouncy chair and places him in front of a TV or iPad. That's his version of parenting when he's alone. And the daycare is really nice and the women there are great. But you're right, they can't give him enough one-on-one time. There's like 12 preschoolers in this class. They send pictures every day of what he's doing and is always clinging to his mommy there. Funny enough, she kind of resembles his real mom, who he hasn't seen since he was 7 months old. Not even a FaceTime or call. Not a-hole. And I'd call the mom and say you're willing to testify against him if she wants to go back to court. Even with full custody, she should be having regular visits. Yes, this. Document everything. See who else in your family cares enough about this child to do what needs to be done. This boy is suffering, and likely will continue to do so unless someone steps up for him. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for throwing my sister's confession of regretting her kids in her face? I, 32 female, was close to my sister, 34 female, most of my life, but our adult relationship has been tough. My sister has 5 kids with her husband. The youngest was born in February of last year. I have been trying to conceive with my husband for 8 years now. I knew I had fertility issues prior, but it has been heartbreaking trying to have a baby and being unsuccessful. We have been open with our families about our struggles, and most people are really kind and supportive. But my sister has been... I don't know how to describe it. Ever since her first pregnancy, she has told me about how she didn't want to be a mom, how she was considering termination, and every time I would support her. And then she would have her babies and she would admit regretting not terminating them. She would say her husband wanted the kids, and she knew it would ruin their marriage, so she had them and would fake it. She never stopped confiding in me, even when I asked her to. I told her it was a hard topic for me to be involved in while I was struggling. She would act like I never said anything. Then a few weeks ago, my parents told me they had saved some money for my husband and I to help us have a baby. I thanked them. They said they hoped it could bring us the luck we needed. My sister was there, and maybe she was jealous or something because she started joking that my husband and I just needed to have us and how easy it is to have a baby. And then she joked that I must not be a real woman if I can't get pregnant. My parents were furious and told her it was a nasty thing to say. And, well, they scolded her. But then she said I would be a crappy mom, and that's why the universe wouldn't give me a baby. And I might have lost it a bit. And I told her, well, at least I wouldn't regret having my kids after they were born, and wouldn't be thinking I should have had a termination when they're already living, breathing babies. She was furious, and my parents were shocked. She called me an a-hole and told me she confided in me in confidence, and I feel guilty because she did, and because I was the only person who ever knew how she felt, and I lashed out in the heat of anger. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I thought this would be an everyone sucks here, but honestly, not the a-hole. Your sister was being vile. You're not a real woman because you can't get pregnant was hard enough. But you can't get pregnant because the universe knows you'd be a terrible mom? Atrocious. Your sister sounds all around like a bad person. I can assure you those kids will notice that they aren't wanted. I wouldn't honestly blame her if she had one, regretted it, and stopped. But she had 5 kids. Each time knowing she didn't want them, that's cruel. You didn't go out of your way to out her to your parents about it. And I'd ask her before to stop confiding to you about this. It wasn't like what you said was even a low blow. It's apparently something she says all the time. For real, I feel horrible for the kids. I thought the post was going to turn into the sister offering her youngest to the sister since she doesn't want it. Not the a-hole. Classic case of don't dish it out if you can't take it. It was a horrible thing to say, but she knew she was saying the most cruel thing she could say in the moment. Not the a-hole. She's clearly not been respecting you over the years, and now she's mad you finally said something to her. Not the a-hole. She was definitely jealous that your parents were giving you money for whatever reason, and she had no right to say those things, even as a joke, which, let's be honest, probably had a little bit of truth to it. She was clearly only thinking about herself when she confided in you about saying those things, because anyone with common sense wouldn't have said those things to a woman who is trying to get pregnant. Especially if that woman is her sister, not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister-in-law not to have another child? This actually happened at our family Easter, but I wanted to get some outside perspective. I, 31 male, went to my brother Jacob's place for Easter. His wife Kate and daughter Arya, 3, were of course there too. To note, Arya has Down syndrome, and she probably won't be able to live independently, and she also has a heart defect. I always assumed that Jacob and Kate wouldn't have more children, as caring for Arya is expensive and takes a lot of time. However, Jacob and I were smoking on the porch and talking about our gran, who lives in a nursing home. He mentioned how that type of care is super expensive, and how they were trying for another baby to care for Arya after they're gone. I was pretty shocked and asked him to elaborate. He said it would be cheaper to have another kid instead of saving up hundreds of thousands in trust for Arya's care. I told him that was very messed up and would make the kid feel unwanted. By then, sister-in-law had come outside and she started laying into me. She said I didn't know what it was to parent a disabled child and how I shouldn't judge. She asked me to drop the topic or leave, and so I dropped it and went to play with Arya. Did I cross a line? I know how tough my brother and Kate have it, but their plan seems unethical as hell. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell them they should watch My Sister's Keeper. This is exactly what I was about to say. It's completely immoral. Not the a-hole. This is beyond immoral. They want to bring a child into this world to be a servant. That is messed up. Not the a-hole. Sounds like indentured servitude without the agreement part. Also, any kid brought up with that expectation will resent everyone at some point, and probably have a slew of personal issues, mental health, trust, etc. Plus, they already have one kid with lifelong learning disabilities and physical disabilities. What happens if kid number 2 has the same? Your brother and sister-in-law are the kind of people that shouldn't have a dog, let alone kids. Agree, not the a-hole. There are quite a few AITA posts from adult kids whose parents just expect them to care for their special needs sibling and guilt them about wanting to go to college or move away and have their own lives. It's really sad. And in 16 to 18 years, we will be reading here how apparently I was born just because I'm supposed to take care of my sister. And I love her, and she's sweet, like a little kid though, and she'll always be a little kid. It has physical disabilities too. I don't want to go to college and go to Europe, and I don't want to already be like a parent for the rest of my life before I've even had a life. Not the a-hole. And every comment will be telling them to go no contact. Then a follow-up post from the parents wailing about how they did everything for their child and how could they.